to the Hostility Morning Show. I'm your host, John, joined here today by
Nathan.
Steven.
Matthew.
All right, Matthew.
Hey, Matthew, I have a question for you. How do you feel about not having a job in like 2 years?
I mean, if I've got my like own side hustles and stuff figured out, then that would be pretty awesome.
I'm just kidding. This is a little bit of a side tangent, but I'm just curious because I saw a little article. But apparently, old Zuck said that at least at Meta, like they're not going to have programmers in like 12 to 18 months because the AI is going to do all of it.
My favorite.
So I feel like that's going to bleed over into just in general, right? You know,
my favorite thing was seeing OpenAI was like doing the whole, on the marketing side, they were like, engineers are going away, programmers are going away. We're gonna have the AI do it all. And then meanwhile, what is literally all of their now hiring position?
Is it
it's like software engineers,
yeah,
stuff like that. It's stupid. It's stupid. We are now. My favorite thing is like the Privagen will like periodically retweet this, but we're now like 22, 23 months into like 6 months away from
6 months away. Yeah.
No more programmers.
They keep recycling that number of time. Yeah.
It's like the whole like climate change thing of like back in the 80s. It's like 2 years, and then now it's like 2 more years. But we've been doing that for like forever. Or like Bernie Sanders, like what is his thing? It's we're like 16 months away from democracy being over, and he's been saying that since the 80s.
Oh yeah,
like that's just his campaign promise.
I thought you were gonna go with once again I'm asking for your financial support.
Well,
that too.
Yeah. No, I just want to get your quick take on that because I saw that I was like, oh man,
it's
sucks
pretty,
for Matthew.
It's pretty wild. I think that there's now. Granted, there is like with the other things that I mentioned, there is like some elements of truth here and there. I think the problem is that the marketing departments and the grifters have taken over, and that's all that you hear about. So like every AI CEO is saying that, we're like 3 months, we're 6 months, so like AGI is right around the corner.
Well,
we were supposed
so
to
the
have
same
AGI
problem
like
with
2 years ago.
every other thing.
Except here's the hilarious thing is, they might be gunning for your job, but the reality is, the jobs that actually AI would be way more beneficial for and could actually fully take over is the marketing job.
Exactly. See, that was my favorite thing was that you had all these like I don't know what a nice word for them would be, but let's just in quotation
we can
marks,
always bleep it out.
Writers for was it like BuzzFeed and stuff like that were writing about AI is going to come for everybody was like it's coming for the programmer's job. Okay, and then what did we see? Mass layoffs in the in quotation marks writing sphere and the creative spheres where. That's actually where AI has hit the hardest. And I think we talked about this.
We did,
a year or two ago, in like the first one of the first few episodes. I think it was last year, but yeah, like that was actually it was a little like I'm not gonna root for people losing their jobs, but it was also at the same time a little cathartic where everybody was rooting for me to lose my job, but actually it was like a no you kind of situation. So I'm still here. I'm still kicking. AI hasn't taken my job yet. It's made it different, and it has made it a lot more fun in some aspects, but it hasn't taken my job.
But if it did, could we bring those jobs back from the dead?
Maybe we could bring them back from overseas. Let's start there.
Oh God.
This is a spicy one.
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about the IT dark arts. Good Lord.
The IT doc arts?
The doc arts. Or my favorite is the IT necromancy. These boys wanted to really hit on the dark arts, so we're going to definitely get into that. But we're definitely going to touch into the necromancy side, which is bringing something back from the dead. And some off-catalog ways the technology has been used in unintended manners. So Matthew, can you give us a brief, like, top level, we're in the skies overhead of what the IT dark arts are?
Let me give you just an example, and I think it will say it all. There's a blog post from Ursay and stuff. This was like, this was about a year ago, just a little over a year ago, actually. Booting Linux off of Google Drive. That should tell you all you need to know about what we're talking about.
This is, I think, what piqued caught my interest, like when you first mentioned something like that or something like it, and I just it broke my head.
This is dark arts, is what this is.
Yeah, and I'm just like, why, what, and then we got into explaining it.
This isn't using it. This isn't using it as a network store. This isn't using it as an additional drive. This is booting off of Google Drive, which is
Because
pretty wild.
because you can, or
Yeah.
you think you can.
And because you can. It's one of those things where, they spent so much time asking if they could, they never stopped to ask if they should. Definitely one of those things. And we'll link the article in the description. It is a wild ride, even if you don't entirely understand everything. It's just the lengths that are gone to boot a computer off of Google Drive is just it was really fascinating to me. Of like this was very, very fun to read. So there's that. That's one of them. And the dark arts is basically just doing not just unconventional things, because everybody, like, if you've been in the IT sphere for long enough, you have some sort of unconventional incantation or something that you do with your computers just to make them work, right? Everybody's hit that moment where something just, you do it and it works, and then you just kind of keep doing it,
Voodoo is necessary from time to time.
Sometimes you got to do that. This is taking it a step further, where like no sane human would ever stumble upon this. You have to be trying to get this deep in the weeds, So yeah, so there's booting off of Google Drive, which was really, really fascinating. The other project that I'd like to point out, booting off of Google Drive was not a project per se. But the other actual project that I would like to point out is the One Core API. This is almost like Wine, for Linux, but instead of Wine for Linux, like running Windows applications on Linux, this is running modern Windows applications on Windows XP. Service Pack 1, 2, and 3, and then as well as Server 2003. So if you don't mind having absolutely no security at all, you can run modern applications on Windows XP, which is, again, really fascinating to me. I'm still kicking myself for not trying this.
This is like compatibility mode on steroids. Well, it's like reverse.
It's like a backwards compatibility. Yeah, instead of like compatibility mode for XP, it's compatibility mode, and that's actually
instead of
how
running
it's structured.
Old Windows apps on a new Windows operating system. It's the opposite.
Yeah, I have 3 different, technically 4, but one of them's like old enough to where it's not really worth it to run XP on it. But like 3 or 4 Windows XP, or no, 5. Yeah, 5 different XP machines that I am kicking myself now that I completely forgot about this until today. I haven't tried it myself, but there's Michael MJD has a great video on like a couple different videos actually on running modern applications on an XP machine, and it's very fun to watch. It actually works pretty well. And I don't know. I just these kind of things where we're doing unconventional things unconventionally, to make software do what it was not necessarily intended to do, or hardware do what it was not intended to do, is very, very fascinating and inspiring to me.
So here's a horrible idea, since that's kind of the topic here, is just horrible ideas.
There are no terrible ideas here. There's just only ideas that either have not been executed yet or have not been executed properly.
Of these examples, is this the standard 32-bit Windows XP, or does this also include the rarer, but it did exist, the 64-bit XP?
This is 32 and 64.
So what I'm getting at is what my horrible thought is. On modern hardware, which would be faster, 64-bit XP or Windows 11?
Depends on what you're. I guess it depends on what you're trying to do, but I would.
Basic OS tasks.
Yeah, I would guess that XP would probably be faster.
Oh, with modern hardware, yes. Or like if you took ran XP on the last supported like hardware revision that it could be on, 100%. Especially if you have it on an SSD, it would, because you wouldn't have any of the telemetry BS that Windows 11 has constantly running in the background, and also the slower animations, things of that nature. XP was way more optimized for just tasking, in my opinion.
Well, and it would be inherently lighter weight. Just because just inherently operating systems weren't as large at that point in time. They just didn't have as much stuff in them. So by modern standards, it would be a very lightweight OS.
I think the thing to just keep in mind is that you're still going to have telemetry in XP. The problem is it's not going to be Microsoft telemetry. It's going to be once you connect it to the network.
Or if you don't plug it into the internet, then it's fine.
Whoever gets to it first is they're gonna have some details on your machine.
It's gonna be spin the wheel telemetry.
Yep.
That's a game we could play.
Telemetry relay.
We need to put it on an isolated network, but We should speed run to see how quickly an XP machine can get ransomwared.
That would be kind of fun.
It would be.
Yeah.
We just turn off the firewall and just see what happens.
Just give it a public IP address. Don't even NAT it.
Ooh, I don't know if we want to live that dangerously. Like I said, we're gonna have to isolate it. We may have to get a separate ISP connection to test this, but
Sure, yeah. Get you a cheap, just a cheap copper connection and a dumb modem, and just plug it in
I was
there.
thinking just go get one of those burner phones that you can do.
That's what I was like a
well,
burner phone hotspot.
but if that's going over a cellular network, technically there is a form of NAT that's on cellular networks.
We're getting close enough, Steven.
No, it's not proper.
I'm not locking myself into a contract just for this little fun experiment,
just
Steven.
for a couple of months.
No.
So you can cancel it.
It's like, how long do you want the botnet like node to last? Because that's probably what's going to end up on there.
Only one way to find out.
There's only one. Yeah, and from my understanding, that's the theme of this entire topic is just because, and that's what. So I'll just go ahead and get my part out of the way. This is something I wanted us to talk about this because I'm not of this mentality at all. Like this, just thinking about things in this way and hearing you know, Matthew, you talk about it and some of the stuff that John's talked about and the stuff that y'all found, like, it breaks my brain because I'm just not of that mentality of just doing this crazy stuff just because. Like I can't, you know, I just don't think that way, and I don't justify as like, ooh, let's see if we can do this thing on this thing that's not even close to designed to do the thing, but we can find some backdoor, you know, janky way of connecting the dots and getting it to do it. It's just that's a crazy thought to me. But at the same time, it's fun to hear about. It's funny to me to hear all the crazy like people talking through it, and I'm just like, why?
People go to
are
great
y'all
lengths.
doing- Yeah,
Yeah. Again,
it's interesting, and I want to hear about it. But just for the record, I'm like the exact opposite. And I was like, I don't understand this.
well, see
And I'm
that
with Steven.
On a basic level.
that's the difference of engineering minds versus normal.
No. I will firmly disagree with that statement right there. I think that your engineering, approaching something from an engineering that has nothing to do with it. This is more of just a type of curiosity, and it's a specific mindset. It's a way of looking at things. It has nothing to do with
This is a special kind of TISM.
Yes.
That spawns these different projects.
Yes. No, it has nothing to do with an engineering mindset.
But there was engineering when I made the supercharger.
Well, yeah, but that was simply you were using a skill set in order to achieve that.
And to do something,
That skill set is actually more so conducive to orderly, proper things.
But I was ahead of the curve because now we have 65-watt chargers like for everything.
How much was that? What did you test it? Like, what was the actual wattage that it put
Yeah,
out?
so that charger was rated for 6 watts.
Uh-huh.
I had it pulling 27. It got hot.
Yeah. What was the amperage that it was pushing out?
It was only at like 3.7 or 3.8 amps.
Okay.
It wasn't too bad.
Because it was a 2.4 amp, right? Yeah. Okay, that's not bad.
Because again, any harder.
And what kind of cooler did you have on it?
I just put a bunch of little heat sinks on it. It was fine. Just like the little stick-on ones you get on Amazon. And then I put it back in.
This is what we call a fire hazard.
Passive heating works for Apple. It should work for everybody else, right?
Sure.
That's what the bougie computers do.
That's what they think. Yeah.
I mean, look, you just put a bigger bridge rectifier on it, and you just see what happens. I mean, why not?
Anyway, continue.
Speaking
gentlemen.
of bridging things, so another fun project that I saw was running Linux in a PDF.
Which this one I found hilarious.
This one was really cool. So it's like some technical details there. Again, we'll link if we remember most of these in the show notes. But the way this works, I'm reading from the explanation here. The way this works is very similar to this person's previous Doom PDF project. You might expect PDF files to only be comprised of static documents, but surprisingly, the PDF file format supports JavaScript with its own standard library. Modern browsers, Chromium and Firefox specifically, implement this as part of their PDF engine. So basically, what this guy did was write a RISC-V emulator that then runs Linux. And so he wrote the emulator in JavaScript and is running that JavaScript in a PDF. So when some of these it's like magic, you know? Like it's almost disappointing to start peeling back the layers because then it makes sense. Like, okay, I see how you did that and I see how you got there. But
How for this example, does it say how big the PDF document was?
that's a good question. I think there's a
I mean, we can just like download the project.
looking around. Hold on.
I'm downloading the
Maybe I
project.
should.
I'm surprised it doesn't say how
The
big
project
it
is only 354 kilobytes.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go.
So I think
Now again, that is compressed in the zip, but yeah.
I think we should also note that the mind. So what we're looking at is the mind that would come up with running Linux, running a full operating system in a PDF. That is the mind of somebody who is easily bored and wants something interesting to do, regardless of its efficacy, regardless of whether or not it's actually productive.
And so yeah, something unconventional.
But this is still on the good side. The evil side of this is how you get viruses in PDFs.
Yeah, to an extent. But also on that the fun side though, you always have to ask the question, and this is that whole and that nice theme of unconventional ways of can it run Doom? And one person asked, can Excel run Doom? And by God, yes it can.
Wow.
Yeah. So I also put that down.
Which okay, but all right, to be fair though, in my mind, that's far less surprising than running Doom in a PDF. To me, running it in a PDF is far more impressive.
I can almost
Because,
guarantee it
to be fair,
based on what I'm
Excel
seeing
is
here.
a very robust software and can handle quite a bit of data throughput. Like it's designed to do that.
Yes, but the impressive part was it's like, a lot of those projects you see that, oh, like, yeah, I can
I
run.
bet they use pivot tables.
I can tell you the main game file is included in the form of a WAD. You need to install the
Would you call me?
a WAD. You need to install the Doom generic from its given link, which is another GitHub project. And
WAD
that-
is that's just the standard
Yep.
standard in quotation marks format for a Doom game file. If
Okay.
that makes sense. So that's the like
the
the
file
levels and
type.
assets and stuff like that. That's at that compressed, kind of like a zip for the Doom game files.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it uses Python for the main code and C for the config.
This is running in Excel.
It's running in Excel. And the impressive part is like usually a lot of these weird ports of Doom that you see in these kind of like offhand programs or devices that it runs like just the basic rendering, like you might get one or two sprites and a couple walls. No, this is like full Doom, full like looks like almost the full maps in color, and you can see like it's low poly, but it's Doom.
I think the to like encapsulate the spirit of what this entails. Most of these people, Nathan says they're bored. I would technically agree. But more than that, the exciting thing is the constraints that come into this.
Mhm.
So like for example, Linux in a PDF, right? Like you're using a programming language to then run this thing. So it's not super out of the ordinary. Where it gets interesting is the constraints by which you have to
Mhm.
adhere to then run these things. Like the booting Linux off of a Google Drive. There's a lot of constraints there, and there's a lot of like weird technology that goes into it.
Well, and especially like because you're operating within Google's world. Like it's not just a free form box that you're operating in. It's a very, very, very controlled and specific box that you're operating. I would say, I guess the one other comment that I would make is where, especially like I'm interested in hearing about it, like where I have my thoughts of like I don't understand the thought process, but I like hearing about it. Is to me this is, I guess, for a more layman listener, someone who's not as much of a techie nerd listening to this, a more layman example of, to me, what this is synonymous with like hot rodding. It's like taking a car and swapping in a motor drivetrain into something that makes absolutely no sense and making it work. Something that was not intended to be in that shell ever, period. And it doesn't even fit or makes, and you cut and chop and hack and weld it back to, and you put it back together and somehow it works. And that's your little Frankenstein creation that you made. This is the this is the techie, the computer version of that, basically.
Absolutely. I think where I get the most like use out of these kind of things is probably my Steam Deck. There's not to this level of crazy. I think the Steam Deck, it's more, these things make
Practical
sense. It's
application.
more practical application. Because one of the things that it's got a massive community of different people
Mhm.
creating different solutions for it. One of the ones that I just installed recently, there's a Android emulator called Waydroid that's designed to run on Linux and not be like, you've probably heard of BlueStacks or
Yep.
these kind of things that they're meant for playing games and stuff like that, but they also have ads and all sorts of other nonsense. Sign up for them.
Well, and a lot of overhead as well.
Yeah, like they're just, I don't like that. I do like Waydroid. So my Steam Deck is set up to play Steam games. It's running Linux, and basically it is just a handheld computer, right?
Mhm.
It's an x86 computer. It's not anything super wild and crazy there. But it is. I have Waydroid installed, so I can play some Android stuff on there. Like I've got Minecraft, right?
Mhm.
There's no Linux version of Minecraft. There's no official Linux version of Minecraft. Which goes back to the IT dark arts. There's no either Bedrock or Java. So the easiest way for me to play it, because I already own it, is the Android version. And since Waydroid is available, that's part of why I set that up. And then there's also Out of the Park Baseball 26, the Android version. Because I had some like Google Play credit, and I didn't want to shell out $25 for the desktop version because I
Mhm.
didn't know if I would actually like enjoy it. But it is a lot of fun to manage your baseball teams as a spreadsheet. I'm not a sports guy, but this was one area where I was like, that's actually kind of fun.
Okay.
So that's one example of my Steam Deck can run desktop games. It can run full Android. So not just like Android games, but I can install whatever other Android apps I want on there. So that's actually kind of cool. And then other emulators as well. I think the only thing that it doesn't do is it may do PlayStation 4. But like pretty much everything up to the Switch, it can do.
Wow.
So you can
okay.
emulate pretty much anything. I've played GameCube games on it, which is my favorite. So Nathan, you remember NBA Street
Yes.
Volume 2? Yes.
Yeah.
That
That was an
In your
highly
hand.
underrated
Goody.
game.
Mhm.
is so much fun. So that's an example of, I think, more reasonable.
Yeah.
These
no,
are like dim arts. They're not, dark
Yeah.
arts. They're where it's
that's
Yeah.
the area of, especially the area where it's like, okay, yeah, no, I get the concept when you're talking about like retro gaming and and emulation gaming and stuff like that. Like, okay, yeah, I can get behind that.
Does
that,
GameCube count as retro now?
It does.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
Well,
yes.
because like even on that
There's a lot
front,
of stuff that counts as retro now. I
like-
don't like it.
well, because here was one like on the Necromancy side that I
360 came out 20 years ago.
Stop it.
no, it wasn't 2007.
2005. We literally went through this the last
That's
time
right.
we
It's
recorded.
5. I keep forgetting. My bad.
Because you're old.
Don't worry
That's
about it.
why.
I'm aware. It's fading.
2005.
But on that note of like the retro consoles, like on the Necromancy side, one that I found that was a recent discovery. I mean, it's kind of off catalog because you have to do quite a bit of hoops jumping. So, Matthew, you're probably more familiar. You remember the full back compat PS3 that can play PS2 games? Like
This
like-
was the greatest console
The-
ever
the greatest
created,
one.
and it was also had the greatest Achilles heel
yeah, that
of that generation.
that
both,
90 nanometer
Mhm.
GPU. Because the PS3 Slim's GPU is the preferred one, that 40 nanometer.
Yeah, so just for some backstory, everybody knows about the Red Ring of Death. There was also, on the PS3 side, there was the Yellow Light of Death.
Yeah.
It wasn't as prominent because I think Sony fixed it a lot faster than, because Microsoft, they went through like, what, 3 or 4 revisions?
It original, then Jasper, and then the Slim, which was still Jasper based. Yeah, it was like 3 revisions. 3.5 revisions.
Yeah, because Sony got it within the first
I think it was
revision.
2. It was 2 revisions. Because they had
Okay.
the back compat, the one that then they cut down the USB ports that was then more less compatible for PS2 games, and then it was no PS2 game back compat, and then they did the Slim. But it was that last one they got most of it fixed.
But same thing, like heat was a
Yep.
problem
Yep.
for not just, the consoles at the time, but computers at the time. Like heat output was a big
Yeah.
issue.
It was, so the thing that was killing PS3s was also the same thing killing Xboxes, and it was heat. Xbox, it was because they made the motherboard too thin and it was flexing and
Mhm.
breaking the BGA balls, which on those large chips, they don't do like direct pin soldering and all that. It's little balls of solder that sit on a pad that it's then wave soldered down and it's held in place. So when that board flexes, it breaks those connections. Similar thing was happening on the PS3 on the back compat, um, where
I'm not gonna speak that one.
I
into
can't.
either.
I hate you so much.
Keep going.
So on that one, same thing. The BJ balls were breaking, but one interesting discovery that came about, I'm gonna say a couple years ago, but I just saw coverage of it a couple days ago, was Sony themselves were pulling that 90 nanometer GPU off and putting the 40 nanometer one on from the Slim. So their original console, they're taking the GPU from newer consoles and putting it on the old one for official repairs, and that's now being replicated through all the third-party repairs now, because it's more than just that. You do have to move some capacitors around and a couple filters to get it all working, and you have to, before you had to use a mod chip, now you can actually flash the main BIOS chip to get everything, operational. But you are now basically able to use newer, more reliable technology on an old console to keep that thing alive, because that's the thing that kills a PS3, those old ones, is that 90 nanometer chip and the 86 refresh came after that. Those will die. 100%, they're gonna die.
I would argue that my favorite console of all time, I never had one because at the time it came out, it was $600. Like, no way. But in my opinion, that original PS3 was the best console they ever did, because that was the first real, true multimedia hub
Yeah.
for people who didn't want a computer, because it has all you could plug all the media into it in addition to your games.
Because you could do Blu-rays, did it have built-in like compact flash and that kind of
Yes,
thing?
yes,
or is
yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because you had that, you could play Blu-rays, DVDs, you could
it had the hard drive.
had the hard drive, you could do the MP3s and all that.
It had
Had
official Linux support.
yes, I forget about that.
It had USB 2, which was the main thing at the time, so you could plug in external drives as well.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, it was definitely the best.
That-
And you could play PS1, 2, and 3
Yeah,
games.
that console was what Microsoft wanted the Xbox One to be, because the entire naming scheme of the Xbox One was it was the all-in-one console.
It was just, 8 years too late.
Yeah, they
Seven-
poor
7 or 8 years too
poor
late.
execution. But no, it's stuff like that. That level of, I mean, it's technically official from Sony. They did the engineering, the R&D, all of it for it. But that was a kind of a good pat on the back that, hey, the most legendary console ever now is going to have a much longer life because we have a path forward.
I feel like y'all are forgetting though, like the most obvious solution for this, that the obvious easiest long-term
Wrap it in
solution.
a towel and just have it
No, get a fish tank, fill it with mineral oil, and put a radiator to pump on it, and just dunk it in there, and just let it live in mineral oil
I don't-
that's cycled through a radiator.
I don't-
That'll take care of all the heat.
I don't think you fully understand all the rules of thermodynamics.
Well, you have to keep it moving and cool it, but
Yes, but
it
even
absorbs all the heat and puts
I-
it somewhere else.
I'm not
You
gonna,
just take the heat away. That's all. That's
I'm
all
not
you're doing.
I'm not gonna get directly into this. This is too much.
So
That's an idea. You're right. That's
it's
an idea.
Yeah,
that's an
it's
idea.
an idea. So shifting gears just a smidge, Jonathan, what would you say? What is your the most ridiculous thing you've had to do in your career, as far as IT necromancy to solve a problem? Whether that was bringing hardware back from the dead or getting something to do what you wanted it to do, but something IT related.
There was one instance back when I was working in education where I had to take 7 laptops to make one working one just so I can have a teacher be able to complete a class. Those old Dell Latitude D600s. Okay. Laptops of today
Mm-hmm.
are garbage. Every single one, they're garbage. The only one I will say, the framework laptop, you're the only thing closest to like the golden child, which I'm gonna 100% say is the Dell Latitude series of the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s. Those D600s, easiest thing to ever work on. You can
Those chonky boys.
yeah, and you can disassemble them in like 5 minutes, like all the way down. You want to swap screens? Super easy. Keyboards, track pads, the battery. Remember,
I will contest. I didn't have a lot. I mean, I would say that you're probably right, but I would contest that in the very very close to that top spot would be the old Mac unibodies.
okay, I would agree with that
Because
too.
those are not equally, because that's the thing about the Windows, the Dell, HP, Lenovo, like those, like the business laptops. They were actually, I mean, you slid a thing and stuff came apart, like with quick connects and all that kind of thing. The Macs involved screws. But
For the Dells, I think my favorite part was that the RAM was just behind a door.
Yep.
You didn't have
Yeah.
to like disassemble the whole
Mhm.
thing.
You
You
just
didn't
pop
even
a
have to
door
take
off.
the whole back
Yeah.
panel off. It was just a door.
But to be fair, the unibody Mac, like the one that I used up until I finally got a new computer. I mean, it's just was it 6 screws?
Yeah, that was 6 screws.
Yeah. I mean, in their Phillips head, it's
Yeah.
not like some crazy, Torx head, or Pentalobe head or something. It's 6 Phillips head screws, and then boom, there's everything.
Yeah.
And even
So-
like taking the screen off and stuff was,
Yeah, it was easy.
again, just a few more screws.
So
And-
it's been enough years. I think I can finally share this story as well. So this was previous employer, no longer there. Had a client, had a $30,000 server at that time, and in today's money, it would be significantly more. Kind of going back to a previous episode of having backups is important.
Sure.
They did not.
Hmm.
Mind you, they were a film company that shot commercials.
Neat.
This server had all their commercials for the last 10 plus years
As they do.
gone. It was dead. And this server, do you remember an old company called Sun Oracle?
Can't say I do.
So Sun used to be super popular in the
Sun
80s and 90s.
Microsystems.
Yeah.
They
Until
were the original owners of Java.
Oh, okay.
So this was again, a very old server at that time, still cost a lot of money because of how much they had invested into it. It was my job to get all that data back between a mixture of, I think it was like 4 different RAID cards. I don't know how many cables, using 3 separate external power supplies and another server itself. We were able to get the data back. But so you have to remember, like these days, like if you use ZFS for your RAID pools, oh cool, yeah, take all those drives out, just go stick it into another machine, spin up ZFS on it, import your pools, and you're done. Super easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not back in the day.
No.
Those RAID cards, number one, saved the configs to it, but had to have constant power.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The RAID battery.
And if that died, which of course it's a Sun Oracle machine from the late 90s.
Batteries don't last that long.
They don't last that long. And do you know how difficult it is to try to rebuild the RAID config from dumped memory?
I imagine it's slightly difficult.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's doable. I learned a lot that day.
I would imagine
Days,
so.
but I don't have pictures for a reason, but if you would have saw, so it was, server was in its main rack. I had it pulled out because it was on rails. I had my service cart. I had my laptop, and then I had one of those fold-out tables with another server, and it was everything. It looked like a spider web of just terribleness.
Is it a minor miracle that you, A, didn't blow any breakers, and B, didn't electrocute yourself?
No, I didn't pull that many amps. They were loud.
It was more so a minor miracle that he didn't produce any ESD and shock
Magic.
something.
It was magic smoke again, because you have to remember I'm using. Now these weren't.
Did you have your wrist strap?
I did not.
Did you? IT rule number 1: you got to have your wrist strap. What's wrong with you?
Because it's just external power
Just
supplies.
doing it
It's
live.
fine. They were in PDUs, and those I think were into maybe working UPSs. I don't. It wasn't.
Maybe,
It wasn't my data center. I didn't care. I was just brought in to go help. Panic. What do I do? Actual sending drives out for real data recovery was too expensive. I was the cheaper option.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, that's a good one. Matthew, in your line of work, would you say that you've ever had to do some form of necromancy on code to get something working?
Well, like every day.
Oh, okay.
Because see, there's the things that work, right?
Sure.
And I think that's the thing that I've gotten better at is we are trying to solve problems once and for all,
Mhm.
and that's where we have a lot of shared code. And without going into too many details of like how everything's set up and stuff, the basic is we have a single library that we have that if a problem exists in more than one project, the solution goes in that shared package. So then it's very easy to roll it out to the rest of the things. Like that's just instead of copy and pasting, which is what was done previously, and that's how any normie would do it. It's much better to have it centralized. This is one area where distributed not good.
Yeah.
Centralized makes a lot more sense because you have one single location where you are testing the code, make sure it works, and then you can roll it out to everything else. That's great. The problem is that not everything starts out that way. We don't just have this like magical silver bullet or this box of silver bullets.
You mean I thought we all did magic?
We have to
I thought our worlds
have
were-
to slowly forge these things and craft them, and then they go in the box. Before they get there, some of them are very easy. Some of them are relatively straightforward. Some of them, I'm trying to think of like a couple of the worst ones. There were a few where it was just, it made absolutely no sense to me. Like I touch a lot of different projects, right? We don't have one singular project that we work on because we're an educational institution. We're building internal applications. This isn't just I work for insert your software vendor here. We don't have our single SaaS app that we're working on. It's a bunch of different things. And so you get to do the same patterns over and over and over and over and over. And you get to the point where, these things should work, right? Should is the operative word. And
Everything should work.
Should does a lot of heavy lifting in the IT space.
Yeah.
Not just programming, but the IT space in general. Like things are set up this way. Things should work. But then you run into those instances where they don't. And so you end up having to do these really weird, like I don't have a good one off the top of my head to explain, but like, yes, that exists. And it happens
it's actually
a lot.
It's a common occurrence. It's
not just a once in a blue moon. Like the
Yeah.
really crazy ones that you like write down and tell your grandkids, those ones are once in a blue moon. But there's all sorts of little ones along the way that like they happen all the time. Like recently there's a bug with the .NET compiler where it would either create or detect extra object files, and it was really weird. So
I've experienced this.
because you hit
Yeah.
.NET build, and then
Yeah.
it's like, hey, there's this extra file
Yep.
somewhere. That's new. That's like really new. Nobody's fixed it yet. I'm tracking. I saved the issue on GitHub. It's
Okay,
really
I've ran into it
really freaking annoying.
twice, I think now. Then, all right.
So the solution is to rm-r
okay.
the bin in the object folder in whatever project you're in, to just nuke it
Yeah.
and then rebuild. That was one where again things should work. I .NET build and the project should build, and then now it's telling me that there's this crazy error. And so I did some Googling, couldn't find anything. I asked Copilot. It was like, hey, you should probably add this line to your project file. I tried that didn't work, removed it, did some digging. Usually when stuff like this happens is that when you build a project, it doesn't rebuild the whole thing from scratch.
Mhm.
It has a cache, which is in your bin and your object folders. Bin is the built project. Object is where or OBJ is where the like the tooling files live. So the things that tell you while you're editing your files, if there's warnings or errors or something like that, where that is. If you run .NET clean, it's supposed to get rid of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't, and that was a really annoying thing. So I ended up having to close out the project, nuke those like rm-r on Windows, or is it rm-f? I don't remember.
I think it's arm-r.
I have it saved now, so I can like PowerShell will autocomplete. So I just type in rm, and then it's like, oh, you want to do this?
Yep.
Yes, I do want to do that. So like do that. That was one that ran into recently. I spent, and like I just explained it in 5 minutes. I spent I think a solid like hour and a half banging my head against the wall trying to figure this out because I was fixing a bug for the project, and then there's a bug in Microsoft's tooling that's preventing me from testing my fixes, and so I was just that was something else. And the solution ended up just being like you have to kind of work around it and nuke the files. And then there was I think there was another one where again like these things they should work, and we end up having to code in some kind of like weird workaround. There's no official like bugs or anything like that. It's not like a well-trod. It's a it is a well-trod path, but it's not a well-known issue, I
Yeah.
guess. So
or it's like hit just that your specific scenario.
yeah, and it's not like we're doing anything wild and crazy either. Like we're not trying to, we're not trying to perform dark arts. That's not our intention. We end up sometimes having to do that to get things to work because they just won't. But most of the time we're building, forms and like very simple applications, simple in quotation marks. In my mind, they're pretty simple since I've seen a lot of them now. Like everything's pretty straightforward. It's just you click a few buttons, you have a few fields on the thing. There's no flashy animations, right? There's no like big transitions or massive things that are happening on the back end. It's all very straightforward on the front end and the back end. And then sometimes things just don't.
Yeah.
And so you've got to like, then you've got to start, doing the dark arts to get things to like normal things to work. Like a select field, or a drop down, you click on it, you have your options, you click your option, and then the drop down goes away and there's nothing there. Like the field doesn't update. Like little things like that where it should just work and then it doesn't. And
You've
then
got
so
the
you
piece in
waste
place and it just doesn't do the thing.
Yeah, and then you waste 15, 30, 45, like
Sometimes
2 days, trying to figure out this one issue. And then you finally like something stupid fixes it. And then you don't even know what the worst ones are when you don't even know it fixed it. It just starts working.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you're like, okay, I'm just going to leave a comment there.
I
Don't touch it.
I
And
can-
we're going to move
Yeah,
on.
I have many
We
of those
can-
where it's like I added a comma here where a comma shouldn't be and it fixed it. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that I mean, and that's the thing is someone everybody in the technical fields can relate to, even to on the basic most tier 1 levels, because like I experienced that up until even a couple of years ago, doing my old job with field services. But even from the very beginning, there's it becomes to me it became an extremely irritating phenomenon of you just showed up and it started working. Like that's a real thing.
Yep.
It makes no sense. It's
No,
a nonsensical thing.
It makes perfect sense because computers can sense fear. They're like printers.
Apparently,
Printers can sense when you are in a rush and they are gonna screw up.
And they do it both ways too.
Yeah,
which is why you always threaten your printer with violence.
I'm having a great time. I'm, blasting through this thing. It's all working. And then the moment you go to demo it, it breaks.
Oh yeah, that's the
Like
one.
it
Yeah.
goes both ways.
But
and it's
I
the
mean,
worst.
I experienced that like multiple times of a user would put in a ticket. This thing's not working. I mean, even remotely, it would be confirmed that the thing's not working, and then I would be dispatched to go on site. And whenever I got 30 minutes later, I walk in. Okay, let me see the thing, and now it works for no reason. And it continues to work. It's like, okay, let's try it again. Let's try it again. Let's try it. Okay,
let's try to break it.
It's freaking working. Like what? It's like So that in and of itself is I call it whatever you want, a phenomenon that just exists.
So moral of the story:
at every level.
If you spend any amount of time in IT, like in a professional role, you will have to perform some level of dark arts.
Yes, there is some level of voodoo that you will.
We
have
can
to
call
do.
them. We can call them the dim arts.
Yeah,
but you're still gonna have
the
to
gray
perform
arts
them sometime. Yeah.
Yeah. There's different shades of those gray, but and sometimes I'm sure there are.
Professor Steven in his defense against the dim arts class.
Nathan, would you say that in any in any of your professional experiences you've had to do something along these lines?
I'm actually not to the extent that John or you have. Mine has been.
I hope you don't have to do what I had to do.
Mine has been more along the lines of there was a time trying to get a buddy's old, and it was old at the time, Windows Vista laptop working.
Yes.
And
the best operating system.
That is when I learned how to despise it, and I've blocked most of that from my memory, so I really can't give you much details there, but we tried a lot. I had like 3 computers running at one point trying to fix it. At my previous job, we had to do a lot of data analysis, and not from a sense of like the data, but like the data structure. Part of our job was file came in, file couldn't be read. Why can't file be read? That is where I learned one of the easiest tricks. If you ever have to deal with large data sets and you have to export it for whatever reason. Now, granted, this was like 10 years ago. This was on old hardware at the time. It was old then, and network wasn't great, yada, yada. I would have to have these massive data dumps that it would default as spreadsheets, as XLX, whatever that one is.
XLSX.
XLSX, it would always fail. I had to always force it into .csv.
Mm.
And then once it was on my local machine, then convert it. Because it could not, nothing I had
That sounds terrible.
could process the spreadsheet format
Yeah.
because there was just enough overhead on it. But in the data world, .csv is flat text, is essentially what it is. And so is the most efficient format you can have. So that I had to do that.
Unless it has, like, if you don't have any kind of special formatting of the, different, like, special lines, bold lines, this, that, or tables, or, macros or something in it, then it's
If you want to get into dark arts real quick,
characters and commas.
Do CSV parsing and then text parsing. CSV parsing is better because you at least have the comma separation, so you have a starting point for a format. One of the projects that's probably one of the projects I had to do the most dark arts in was taking a text file, like it's being output from a system as a text file, and there's reasons for that. But then taking the text off of that, trying to parse it, get the different pieces of information that you need. It's in something of a standardized format, but there's enough variation to where you do have to like magically incantate some things out of it. And then taking that text and putting it in a nicely formatted PDF. That was the goal. This was for
I bet I could do it.
Like purchase orders, invoices. I did all of this before AI was a thing, and I'm kind of mad because it would have been nice to like, hey, Copilot, or Claude, or Gemini, or whatever. What are some like techniques that I can use to get this to do what I want it to do? I did not have that as an option, so I had to go in, do that myself.
So I actually would say that my job at that time probably was a dark art, because, and I'm not going to say what specific data format it was, but we had very specific data format that was in kind of the industrial, in the very deep in the business world that consumers don't see. I had to read the code manually, as in copy paste, dump it to a text file, have the multi-100 page manual next to it, and try to figure out where the problems were. We didn't have we didn't have access to any of the developer tools. So I take it back. We did have access to one of the developer tools. The problem though was that it was kind of an approximate, and the developer tool was how the system was supposed to work. Whereas we had a Band-Aid ridden system that was actually running all of this. So the developer tool could get you kind of a little bit of the way. And I was at the point where if the developer tool was going to catch it, I probably could catch it by eyesight, to figure out what it was. And the most fun I ever had was when I would spend half a day on it, and we were not supposed to spend that much time on it. I was technically level 1, practically level 2, but they always gave the weird stuff like that to me. Then I have our senior engineer who was on the standards body would come down, look over my shoulder, I'd kind of walk him through it, and it's like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. That should work. Those were fun days. I had a lot of it's always when the senior
stating the obvious, like, yeah, I know it should work.
Got
it's
it.
obviously not.
When the senior says, yeah, you're right, that should work.
It's funny you say it, because honestly, back John and I have worked together for a long time now, and this is actually a comment that I know that he has made to me. We've had this interaction a couple of several times in the past, not as much in the recent times, but in years past. But I would run into something. I would reach out to him either over a call or a message, and be like, hey, bounce something off of him, like, hey, I'm dealing with this. This is what it's not doing, or this, it's not working. And I would get the inevitable response from John, that's not how that works. I know it's not. Why do you think I'm asking you? I'm well aware of what it's supposed to be doing. It's not doing that. You're not being helpful by telling me that's not what it's supposed to do.
I'm being incredibly helpful, because I have to first off state the obvious, to kick the train in gear to actually start
Oh,
You
that's
know?
the okay.
Yeah,
That's the start. Yeah,
or
so that okay. That explains a lot.
if you want me to PowerShell my way through to a solution for you, we have to follow the process, Steven.
And the first thing is stating the obvious.
Exactly.
That's not how this is
and
supposed to
then I
work.
have to say a lot of curse words at Microsoft, and then I look at their documentation going, oh, sweet, how this should work, you took away, and now you want this new way, but your documentation's not up to date for the new way, so now I'm going to have to necromancy my way through this, trying to figure out a methodology. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
and
that's
that
funny.
happens
But
way too much.
That reminded me. I was like, oh, yeah, we've been down that road a few
A
times.
lot.
And it's funny, Matthew, you mentioned the word should in all of our
Should does
combined
so much
professions.
heavy lifting.
Have you ever seen, those word collages where you can take
word clouds?
or word clouds,
Yeah.
where it takes like the most used word, it makes
it's
it bigger
and then everything else
Yeah,
is like
if you
in it,
did that for IT terminology,
Should would be a
it'd be the biggest
massive-
one in the middle. Like
Yeah.
you just took like the IT communications through a whole company and just did that with a word. Yeah, should.
IT in one word.
Yeah,
Should.
should. Yeah.
Well, so it would be should, and then it, and then work are going to be very close to that.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
or in theory. In theory, it's going to be pretty big.
Probably.
Yeah.
Basically, all the general qualifying words
Theoretically.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
all the qualifying words in general would be the biggest words in that
Mhm.
word cloud for
Yeah.
sure.
No, we don't use definitives for
No,
obvious
no, no, no.
reasons.
Now, I told that to a user one time that was a intentional thing. It was like, yeah, I honestly just in my communications, internal, external, period in life, I do my absolute best to avoid definitives and speak in general, and stuff like that, because we experience so much of things that do what they're not supposed to do. And she was like, I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Like I've thought about that, like just reading emails from y'all's company or from like just tech companies or whatever, and you see a lot of general statements or qualifiers or something like that. It's like, yeah, no, that makes sense. I didn't think about it that way. It's like, oh yeah, no, we live and breathe non-definitive statements. It's our little built-in SLA.
So, what we probably should do
Should we?
at this point,
Shall we?
I'll let John decide.
Steven.
Yes.
Go ahead and possibly close us out.
Possibly close us out? Okay. Well, thank you everybody joining us on Hostility in the Morning. If you stayed this long and in theory liked what you heard, you can potentially leave a comment and let us know. You can also hit us up on X, Facebook, Instagram, or info@hostilityinthemorning.com if you want to. We upload theoretically every other Tuesday, relatively early in the morning on Substack, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube, allegedly. But if you want a one-stop shop for everything hostile, well, for most things hostile, kind of, sort of, a lot of things hostile, you can find that at hostilityinthemorning.com. But remember, have a hostile morning.